Well, guys, with the card reveals coming out, I thought it would be only appropriate if you look at the Scoia'tael ones. We'll be uploading a regular deck profile later today, but for now, let's take a look at what we've got here. And I guess we'll start with the bronzes, because why not? So, at 4 provisions, we have Chameleon. So, he is a beast. It's a 4 for 4. Deploy Infuse Self with a random Scoia'tael primary category that you don't control. Order Replace Self, then reduce own base power by 1. So I guess we'd have to show off what the infused means here for a second. So it's a status that adds effects or categories to a card. Removing this status also removes all the added effects and categories. Lock disables infused abilities. So basically here what we're doing is Chameleon comes down and it's a beast, but it'll also infuse itself with a category you don't have. So say you're not running a bronze gnome, because you're not going to be running a bronze gnome, because they don't exist. You could deploy it to become a gnome and just trigger your harmony that way, which is really nice. It triggers the harmony for categories that you might not have in your hand. And then it's the order to replace self and do it again. And this card addresses one of the biggest things with harmony, which if you've watched any of my previous harmony videos, you'll notice I talk about when I say why harmony is not the strongest, is that harmony is usually capped at 1 point per turn on harmony, and you run out of categories, so you stop being able to get a bunch of points, right? However, Chameleon here does a couple things. First of all, it gives us categories we don't have in our hand, which lets us extend the amount of harmony procs we can do, which is really nice. And it also has this order, so it'll let you pass that 1 point a turn limitation harmony normally has by replaying itself and triggering another category. Obviously, at some point you'll run out of categories, but this is really good for those shorter / medium length rounds where you're not going to have all the categories in your hand, and this will let you do a whole bunch of stuff like that. It does reduce its base power when it does it, so I don't know how many times you want to play this to trigger the procs, but as long as you're missing categories, you've got Chameleon, he'll keep playing and triggering those for you, which is really cool. And if any of you have also watched my older videos, this is basically a suggestion I had, is that I think I said it for the Call of Harmony, is that you could infuse cards. I didn't use the word infuse, but you could give them stuff like this, to give them harmony or give them categories. So, glad to see that the developers and I are thinking on the same wavelength about harmony here. Moving on to the next card, we have Antherium. It's also a beast. This one's cursed, so it has harmony. Any card that says harmony on it makes me very happy, so we're very happy here with this set of cards. 5 for 5, that's really good for a harmony card, which is kind of sad, but that's what it is. Order, infuse an allied unit with harmony. Fantastic. So what this does here is you play this, it has harmony, you play another card, and it gives that unit harmony with this order. Now this is pretty good. It helps you with cards that don't have harmony you want to run. Potentially something comes to mind is the half-elven guy who summons the 3-strength Deadeye token. Elven Deadeye, when you play him, he's got harmony, but it gives you this token that doesn't do anything for the deck. You could use Antherium and give the token harmony, which is really nice. I don't think, I'd have to check on this, but I don't think you can give harmony to a card that already has harmony. I don't think it would move to harmony 2 or anything. So I think you'd have to put this on a card that doesn't have harmony. Correct me if I'm wrong about that, but just looking at it, it's kind of what it seems like to me. By the way, I can't wait to see these artworks. These premium artworks will be really cool. We have to make sure we have enough dust for that. Yeah, Antherium looks really, really solid in harmony, actually. Quite excited to play this card. Moving up then to the epic, we have Lake Guardian Dusk Aspect. So, it's a beast cursed harmony, and this unit's harmony is also triggered in hand and deck. So 1 for 8. So this is something harmony really lacks, is point slam cards. If you've watched any of my harmony deck profiles, I guess it was like maybe a month ago, so was the last one. We run Saskia because she's our only tempo play in the deck, really. And this kind of fits that slot. You play this card at some point in the later rounds, usually where we'd play Saskia, and you can get a whole bunch of boost off of it, and it'd be pretty big. That does mean it's very vulnerable to a reset, which is unfortunate, but that's what are you going to do? It's going to be pretty good. Say you play this round 3, you like a 8-card round 1, you play like 4 or 5 cards round 2, and you've triggered harmony, say like 10 times this game. This is a big tempo play, especially in the late game. If you've been playing with all the categories, like the Chameleon we mentioned earlier. You could accelerate this so it doesn't have to be 1 point a turn on this card's harmony. You could make it faster. And this card could come down for potentially like upwards of 15 points if you had the really right setup. That being said, I don't think it'll always play for that much, but it will be a really big tempo finisher and a deck that really struggles with tempo finishers. I'm really glad this is the type of harmony card we're adding, because it is another weakness of the deck. Last then, but certainly not least, we have the new legendary scenario, and I am really excited about this one. So, I didn't read too much into these cards, by the way. I just got enough. I just looked at them and I put them into the file here so we could take a look at them. Other than that, though, we didn't analyze them or anything yet. So, Mysteries of Loch Faen. So, scenario, it's cursed. It's 15 provisions. So, Masquerade Ball lost its spot. Now we have the new highest version card in the game. And it's in harmony. So, Doomed, obviously. Scenario, progress whenever you play a unit with harmony. So, there we go. Harmony gets a scenario. I am so excited for these harmony changes, by the way. Fantastic. So, what do we have for this actual scenario here? Prologue. Spawn and play Lake Guardian Dawn aspect on this row and set its power to the number of Scoia'tael units with unique primary categories in your starting deck. Okay, this is really cool for a couple reasons. First of all, it really incentivizes running Harmony with a bunch of different categories. So sometimes you run Harmony with, say, like, not that many categories, and you fill in the stuff with other cards. But this really incentivizes you to play all the categories you have. So there's what, like, Dwarf, Dryad, Gnome, Elf, Human, Treant, Dragon. I'm missing one. There's at least one more. You get the point. I think there's like 8. I said gnome already. I think there's like 8 or so unique categories here. But yeah, this is really cool. The Siege Engine on the Dwarven Chariot as well. Can't forget that one. We're missing a big one. Whatever. There's like 8 or 9 categories. So this first guy you play will be really big. And that's really interesting for a scenario because most scenarios spawn 4s when you play them. And this is being different. And the reason that's so impactful is it really slows down the effect of heat waving this. Because when you heat wave a scenario, usually you get like 4 points of tempo from playing it, and you heat wave it, and you're like probably still close to the points, but this plays for like 8 or 9, and then boom, it's a tempo play. And this is one of the big weaknesses of scenarios, is if they start getting bled out, they play for low tempo, and you go down a card. So it's really impactful to have this be a big deploy effect. And it's really cool we have that on this card. If we take a look at Chapter 2 then, or Chapter 1, whenever you play a Scoia'tael unit, boost it by 1 for every category it has. I'm pretty sure most of the Scoia'tael units have at least one category. It's a stupid phrase. I think a lot of them have 2. But the Harmony cards you usually run typically don't. So you've got like Beast, Elf, Dryad, but several cards do have multiple, including several of these new ones with Cursed. That's a second category. So when you're playing a Scoia'tael unit, you're boosting it by 2 every single time. And this is also really good because it protects engine cards. So all the Harmony cards are engine cards. When you play them, it's usually when the opponent has a chance to remove them before they start getting pretty big. You play them here, it gets boosted up, makes it harder to remove, and that's really nice. It's a fantastic effect. And then for Chapter 2, we have Spawn and Play Loch Faen Convergence. So this is a nature card we'll take a look at in a minute here. First, by the way, this is the Lake Guardian Dawn aspect. It's just a token, Cursed, Doomed. It is 15 provisions, so if there's any way for you to get the Ana card, the one that sets up unit's power equal to its provisions on this thing, it could be pretty funny, but it's already getting set to something, so that's probably not relevant, just might be kind of funny. And then we have the Loch Faen Convergence here. By the way, I cannot wait to see these artworks on these cards in premium. They look so good. So for Convergent is nature card like we mentioned. It's got Doomed. Create a bronze Scoia'tael unit with a primary category you don't control. That is really good, especially for Harmony decks. And the reason why this is so good is you're going to get the missing categories. It's kind of like Chameleon, except it plays it, and you don't lose a base power on it, and you don't put the Chameleon back in your hand. It's really interesting, and you get to create, so you get to see 3 cards, and you can pick the one of the category you want, where Chameleon's a random one. So this is a really good finisher to the scenario, and the scenario looks really strong. So you're getting like an 8 probably when you play it, and then you're getting a 2-point boost in all your Harmony cards, well, all your units actually, and then you're playing this to create another card at the end. It's really impactful, and whatever round you play this in is going to be very strong for you. And we're coming now to the last point about Harmony I wanted to make, which is, I guess, in general, looking at all the cards here, is I think Harmony's been pretty cool. I hope they make a couple of reworks to the bad Harmony cards and Scoia'tael bronzes, but we'll see. They may or may not. I hope they do. I really wish Saskia played the unit she created, but since it makes tokens, I'm guessing they're probably not going to change that. But as far as this, it looks really cool, and it addresses a couple of the big weaknesses of Harmony, which I've mentioned in the past. And yeah, and by the way, the Antherium ability here, we go back to look at him for a second here, to infuse an allied unit with Harmony, this was essentially my suggestion from when I made my last Harmony video, how to make it better, is we have the Call of Harmony leader do something like this, to give something Harmony. And I'm glad they're thinking on the same wavelength here. And the deck has a second nice boost here, is that we got tempo cards, which thankfully we have now. They used to lack them. You had to run stuff like Saskia if you wanted those. And you have the Mysteries of Loch Fan, the scenario. So Harmony's biggest problem was you had your Waters of Broccolon round, which was really good for engine value. And that was kind of it, because you didn't have the replay anything anymore. And now we have a second long round option to make a really good long round. And I'm just so excited to try these cards out. Let me know what you guys think about them. Do you like them? I'm really excited for these, and I can't wait to see what the other factions have to offer either.